Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks for joining me here in the card closet. Great to have you here. Today I'm going to show off some old Steelers cards in honor of the Pittsburgh Steelers starting the season 4-0 in first place in the AFC North. I'm going to start with the 1950s for this video. So we will be seeing Bowman cards from 1950 through 1955, and then Topps takes over in 1956 through the end of the 50s. So without any further ado, let's start with 1950 Bowman. Just like the baseball cards of that year, which you might be a little more familiar with, they are a little bit smaller in size, and the pictures are a drawing rather than a true photo. Steelers were not really good in the 1950s. The one guy of note here is Jim Finks, Hall of Fame halfback. This is what the backs of the cards look like. You can see some of these names. So that is 1950 Bowman. 1951 Bowman. They did the exact same thing like in baseball. They upped the size a little bit that year. So again, there's Jim Finks, Hall of Famer. Check out these helmets. Don't you just love these helmets? And the backs. Got a page 2 here with a couple more cards in 1951. Another Hall of Famer here from that 1951 set. Ernie Stautner, Hall of Famer, rookie card. And for those of you that are Dallas Cowboy fans, especially in the 1970s, he was the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys alongside head coach Tom Landry. So you might recognize that name, Ernie Stautner. 1952, Bowman had two different sized cards in 1952, the bigs and the smalls. I went for the smalls. Just for consistency with the year before. That's what the backs of those look like. 1952 Bowman. So one thing about football cards, they did not go through a period of bubblegum wars between Bowman and Topps like they did in baseball during this era. Bowman was king 1948 and then 1950 through 55. Topps did 3 sets in the early 50s, but they were all college player sets. So Bowman was king in the pros. And then for some reason, I haven't researched why, but Bowman stopped after 1955. And that's when Topps jumped over to professional cards. And as you know, Topps went from 1956 through 2015. So a long, long run. All right, so 1953, Bowman. This Lynn Shannoy is an interesting guy. He is the all-time Michigan State interception leader to this day. And he hasn't played there since the late 40s, 1948, 1949. He was the NFL's Man of the Year in 1952. And he is second all-time in kickoff return average yardage. First all-time is Gale Sayers. So Lynn Shannoy played halfback in the pros with the Steelers, even though he was a defensive back at Michigan State primarily. And then here's a name you should remember, Ted Marshabrota. You probably remember him being an executive for the Colts in more recent years, but he was a quarterback for the Steelers. A couple more 1953s here to round out the team set. There are not a lot of Steeler cards that are very expensive in this era. They didn't have a lot of stars. The Hall of Famers that they did have tend to be ones that you've not really heard of, like this guy, James Finks. This is 1954 Bowman. Cards got bigger in 1953, as you noticed. Same as in baseball, they just followed suit. That's what the backs look like. And a couple more. Hall of Famer Ernie Stautner again. And then 1955, the last year of Bowman football cards until recently. We'll go sideways here. Hall of Famer Jim Finks again. Quarterback Ted Marsha Broda. Looks awfully young there. Here's what the backs look like. It's a little bit of a bigger set that year for Bowman. So a few more cards to get the team set. Ernie Stautner again. You can already see the helmet change there. The helmets now have a chin strap, whereas 4 years earlier they did not. And then 1956, here comes Topps. And true to form, Topps has a team card, which we did not see Bowman ever do. Show these ones sideways as well. Here's what the backs of the Topps cards look like. Very similar to the Topps backs from 56. Well, baseball, I should say. And a couple more. Ernie Stautner. Check out the Steelers logo. It's like this factory with these 3 smokestacks coming out of it with some trees in the background. There, that's a little bit better. That's the Steelers logo from the 1950s. $1957, Topps football went the 2-image route, a portrait and then an action shot, or a faked staged action shot. Jack Butler here is a Hall of Famer. Seems like that image has been used a lot for Shamnoy. Here's the backs of the 1957s. And a couple more to finish out the set that year. Good old Ernie Stautner again. All right, moving to 1958. Another Steelers team card. Same logo. Hall of Famer Jack Butler. Earl Morrill. I remember him being an old backup quarterback to Craig Morton with the Denver Broncos in the late 70s. So he had a long career, because here he is in the 57 set. And I know in the mid-70s, I've got some cards of him as well. So the backs look like. Two more on the next page here. And then finally, 1959 Topps. Team card. Jack Butler. Bobby Lane, Hall of Famer, and probably the best quarterback the Steelers ever had before Terry Bradshaw in their long history. They go back to the 1930s. Bobby Lane was at one time the all-time passing leader. Did not play as many years with the Steelers, though, as he did for other teams. So that card I think is pretty cool because Bobby Lane is actually a name that I had heard of. And the rest of 1959. Ernie Stautner again. And kind of a Steelers team card of sorts. And here's what the backs of the 59s look like. So that is my Pittsburgh Steelers team set run of the 1950s. We'll see if the Steelers can keep it going this year. They're looking pretty hot, playing good football. Ben Roethlisberger's looking dynamite. Can only hope, right? So big shout out to Bob Lewis. He's the only other Steeler fan I know of on YouTube. There are probably more that just haven't mentioned it because people don't talk football quite as much. But shout out to Bob. Go Steelers. All right, talk to you all again soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Bye.